let's get into what would cause prices to crash and what caused prices jump dramatically.
Yeah, so this idea of like, okay, let's give our listeners, our subscribers, things for you to pay attention to just in case, because you never know what could happen. We don't know what's going to happen 90 days from now. We don't have a crystal ball. I want you to pay attention to what the Federal Reserve has been saying. The Federal Reserve right now is talking about another cut in December. Therefore, rates are probably going to go down. The 10-year Treasury looks like it's peaked, and it's sitting inside of this little channel. For you stock traders, you know what I mean. It looked like it might have been a head and shoulders for a second, but right now it's channeling in a downward direction, so we're going to bet rates are going to go lower. But the Federal Reserve is talking about unemployment. So I want you to watch the unemployment numbers nationally. I want you to watch the job openings and then unemployment in your local area. If you see unemployment rise, that could cause a pricing problem. People have to have jobs to be able to afford their mortgage, to be able to afford rent, to be able to buy. So that's number one. Obviously, major economic downturn, change in GDP. This should go without saying. Just watch the national GDP numbers. Watch what's happening in your state. If we went through another rapid rise in rates, so let's say inflation came back and all of a sudden Papa Powell had to Paul Volcker us and we had to jack rates up again.
I don't want to get Volckered.
Well, he already Volckered us, so we know what would happen.
Yeah, hurt.
What happened was when they raised us 550 basis points or 5.5%, prices did drop in 2022. So we know if we have to go through that, that would cause prices to drop again. A massive rise in inventory. To be honest, I don't know what would cause that right now because we're so far behind, but this is a factor. A rapid rise in foreclosures. Realize foreclosures today are at almost an all-time record low today. So foreclosures have to like 10x their current position for us to get to the great financial crisis levels. Rise in BKs. BKs are rising, okay? That one's happening. We need to keep watching that one.
BKs being bankruptcies.
Being bankruptcies, thank you. Consumer confidence. Consumer confidence rose in the last report, but always watch consumer confidence. We're a consumer-based economy. Consumer confidence drops, the consumer starts spending, this thing stops. Home prices could go down. Increased lending standards, overbuilding, speculative bubbles, politics, both local and national, a recession, geopolitics, natural disasters. This is what can cause home prices to fall. So in the places the hurricane struck, horrific hurricane, home prices in those areas, of course they went down, but natural disasters of any type can cause it. Next, we got to go through this idea of like, okay, well, that's what would cause them to fall. What would cause them to rise? Number one, low housing supply. Supply. On a certain level, I don't understand how many times we're going to have this conversation. Housing is a supply and demand market, and it's not as elastic as other markets. In other words, it doesn't move as easy and as fluid and as quick. It moves slow like an aircraft carrier.
Because interest rates, you could just drop like 1 or 2% in a matter of months versus you can't just like 100,000 houses like certain politicians were saying they're going to do. When they
you can't because, well, let's just think about it. We build homes, and some of them we build them in record time. And even in record time, it still takes like 60 days to build a home, but that's assuming you already have the permit. That's assuming you already have the land. So for most places throughout the country, to start a home today, you're 4 to 6 months away. And then here in the Seattle Metro, may God have mercy on your soul, you're 6 to 18 months away, depending on where you're at. High demand, of course, is going to cause prices to rise. That demand is going to be directly influenced by interest rates. So we put interest rates as number 4, but demand and interest rates, they're twins. They're hand in hand. As rates go down, the buyer's monthly payment is more affordable. As the payment is more affordable, demand goes up. The same thing applies to investors. Investors buy more as things get cheaper. Economic growth. Number 3, as the economy grows, consumer confidence feels good. You feel good about what's happening. Your stock portfolio grows. If people's stock portfolio, like if the market keeps ripping and Bitcoin keeps on a tear and the S&P 500 keeps going up, that economic growth will support higher home prices. Government policies, aka tax incentive, aka deregulation, aka lending standards, those can help. Doge is still not coming to save you, but they might help.
You missed low interest rates, by the way.
Yeah, and I kind of just tag
did?
low interest rates in with the high demand.
Oh, got it, yeah.
Because I feel like they're twins.
Yeah, for sure.
They run with each other. Inflation, as inflation comes down, if inflation keeps coming down and you start to get low inflation and maybe wages slow down or cost of material, if it's less labor to build a home or less labor to repair a home, or the materials are less because inflation's going down, that supports higher prices because it's cheaper to do it. Real estate investment trends. What I mean by that is as markets improved, more wannabe investors invest. As interest rates go down, the commercial real estate market will start healing itself. People will start cycling their capital more. What they do is as the economy improves, they start holding less cash reserves and they start putting more out to work. Last but not least, climate, natural disaster, and global economic trends. All of these can support higher prices, and I want you to be watching them both nationally and locally. Local is more important than national.